Today on Running with James, we're going to give you our full review of the Nike Vaporfly 3. They say the third time's a charm. Let's find out.
Change your mind, change your life.
That's right, guys. Today we're going to give you our full review of this new marathon racer from Nike. But if you're new to the channel, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and then don't forget to share and hit that notification bell to know about all things Run with James. As usual, we will start with the upper. We'll work our way down to that ZoomX mid foam, and then we'll talk about the outsole and pretty much get into all the likes, dislikes, and everything in between. All right, so starting with the upper is Nike's Flyknit stripped down version of the Flyknit material. So you can tell there's really big holes. You can really see if you zoom in down there, you can really see there's really big holes really in some strategically placed parts of the shoe, which makes it very airy, very light. Now the Flyknit material is kind of a mix between knit and that kind of plasticky material they used a few years ago. Wasn't like the hugest fan of the plastic material, and it was very breathable, but I felt like it really absorbed water a lot, right? This, you don't have that problem. So this one is extremely breathable, just like the other material was, but this one has, I guess, the ability to really drain any kind of sweat, water, whatever. So on those hot summer days, it was great. On those warmer days, it was great for breathability, kept your foot a lot drier and a lot more, a lot cooler. Whereas on the cooler days, like right now, we've had some pretty cold temperatures outside, your little toes are freezing. So you kind of give and take a little bit, but the good thing is it's definitely breathable and it definitely helps to get rid of any kind of water retention, what have you. So the fit of it was pretty good. Plenty of toe room in the box, right? So I know a lot of people have heard people say, before they weren't a huge fan of the toe box in the previous versions, but this one's actually a wider toe box, I feel like. So my toes definitely have a lot more room to move around, but you can still get the good fit around your arch of your foot and definitely in that heel. In the heel counter, it has that little the little padding they put kind of around that Achilles to help lock that heel in, and it's still, even without that, it has a pretty substantial heel cup because of the actual additional support they offer in the back. So heel was zero slippage whatsoever. For the tongue and for the lacing system, it has the offset lacing system. I'm not a huge fan of the offset lacing system. I mean, it doesn't hurt. I know the reason they do this is to take some of the pressure off of the top of your foot with the lacing and stuff like that. But I don't really usually ever have a huge issue with that. I think that usually comes down to the tongue and what that's made of. The tongue itself is a lightly padded tongue, so I like the amount of padding they have on the tongue, and I think that more than anything is what keeps the laces from biting down on your foot. But it is an unattached tongue, first of all. So I'm not a fan of that. And then number two, this tongue is like weird. I am not a fan of this tongue. Like it number one, when I get it in and I get it laced down, I get it whatever, like half of the tongue is like comes up to my knee, I feel like. And then on top of that, it never really seems to just like lay exactly the way I want it. And I think part of that is because of that offset lacing system. So it's just not perfect, right? So the version I own the Vaporfly, the original 4%. I own the next percent. And then I owned purchased the kind of in between, which was basically you could like make your own version, right? That was probably my favorite of all because I was able to kind of get the combination of the newer version with the Flyknit and the ZoomX, but then I got the sock version, like the 4%. So there was no tongue really to speak of. I really liked that fit. That was like the perfect iteration. So Nike, if you're listening, either bring that back or give us the option where we can make our own version. I really dug that because I could also get the colors I like. So anyway, so I'm not a huge fan of the tongue. It's not attached and it just kind of weird. But you know what? Doesn't mean anything. You can still run fast. It's still a comfortable fit. There was no biting. There's no hot spots. I didn't get any kind of blisters, what have you. And I've put in, now this is the shoe that I wear quite a bit for my race pace efforts, some threshold efforts, and then a lot of times for my long run. And so I have like almost 200 plus miles on this shoe. And the Flyknit has actually held up pretty well. So I can't complain too much if I put that many miles on it. So for me, I like the upper. A couple things I might change, but overall, thumbs up. All right, so now let's get into the foam. Now Nike's using their ZoomX foam. It's their lightest, fastest, bounciest foam they have. And to this date, it's still my favorite foam. Of all the foams that are out there, ZoomX foam is my favorite, bar none, foam that's out there. It's bouncy, it's soft, so whether you're trying to go fast, whether you want to slow it down, it works. It's killer, it's the best. They have 38 millimeter stack height of 38 millimeters of stack height in the heel, 30 in the forefoot, giving us an 8 millimeter drop. That's right one of my sweet spots. I like 6, I like the 8. Those are like my 2 favorites. And because they have actually lowered some of the, I think it's 2 millimeters they took off of the rubber, they're giving you like a millimeter or so more of foam, so adds a little extra stack. So I think that the foam works great. It's fast. They also have that carbon fiber plate. You can kind of hear it in there, right? You have that carbon fiber plate in there. It gives you that great propulsion. They've kind of got this convex shape of the foam now, right? So you're pretty wide. You can see how wide that toe box is, right? It's really, really fat. And then they've got a kind of this little spring in the middle, right? So some people say they dig it. I don't know. The only thing I've noticed is that I pick up rocks right in there. Every single run, I get rocks in there. So specifically if I'm running like at a local memorial park, it's kind of a gravel, it has some gravel and stuff out there. So I will always get rocks in there, which, you know, I don't even know until I'm done running. But, you know, you run a marathon and you add, you know, a couple rocks in there, it's extra weight, right? So I don't know, whatever. So, but I have zero complaints though, as far as this foam. It's fast, it's bouncy. And with like I said, about 200 miles or so in this shoe, I still feel like it's got some good pop. I do feel, and you can see that there's compression, right? So if you look really closely there, you can see kind of all the wrinkles and stuff in the foam. So I think this is kind of getting toward the end of its life. So I'll probably keep running in it for training and stuff, but as far as racing in it, I would probably want to get a new pair of these if this was the shoe I was going to wear. So I say the foam is great. You're going to get some decent wear out of it, but you're probably going to start feeling a little bit of the pop, a little bit of that cushion leave, probably after about 250, 300 miles or so. All right, so now let's talk about the outsole. Now the outsole, like I mentioned earlier, is about 2 millimeters less. So that lowers the weight a little bit, but it also offers a little bit more room so they can get that stack with additional foam. The rubber on this one strategically placed, as they've been known to do. You've got a big chunk of it right here on the forefoot, and you have some spots right here on the edges where you're going to be hitting a lot of times, right? Whether you're a forefoot striker or midfoot striker, but where the foam tends to get hit, right? Because this foam is not a resilient foam when it comes to getting scraped or scratched up, right? So I think even with the less amount of foam, I don't know if that's the right way to put that, foam, not foam, rubber, even with less rubber, there we go, that's better. It still gets great grip, right? So I ran on concrete, I ran on asphalt, I've ran on wood, whether it's dry or wet, you feel confident, go around the corners. I've even ran on gravel, like I mentioned, a local park I run at a lot, and it's gravel. This is not a trail shoe or anything like that, but it works just fine. You're not going to get any kind of real issues or what have you, and it definitely holds up. Now, I will say that I'm actually seeing some of the rubber kind of, especially toward the tips, right, where you're kicking off and you're really moving, whatever, the rubber is wearing down. But like I said, I have 200 and something miles in the shoe, and I've worn it, you know, a good amount. So meaning, if we're talking about how long the shoe is going to last, you're talking like what kind of wear you can get out of it. I've mentioned it before, 250 to 300 miles, I think is going to be perfect. Some people could definitely get way more than that out of it, but if you want the feel, you want that rubber to hold up, I think somewhere around 250, 300 is about all you're going to get out of this shoe and be super excited about putting it on. All right, so you got great stack height, 38 millimeters, 30 in the forefoot. You've got the ZoomX foam, it's bouncy, it works. You've got this great Flyknit upper, sucky tongue, whatever. Great lockdown in the heel. You've got this decent rubber that works, does what it's supposed to do. The price comes in around 260 bucks, so that's the price. It's gone up about $10 from when they first did it. It was like 250 originally when they came up with the first few versions of the shoe. So the price has gone up a little bit, but you're getting, I feel like, a really good shoe for the price. It's still one of the lightest, if not the lightest, marathon racers out there. My size 10.5 came in right about 200 grams or about 7 ounces. And for the smaller sizes, I think like size 9s, it's like 6.5 ounces, right? So it's a light shoe. It feels like nothing. So the specs match up, the shoe works. So I don't think it's a surprise to you guys the way I've talked about it, but this is obviously a must-have. If you are a marathon racer, if you're someone who's doing a half marathon, even a 10K, you know what, a 5K, if you want to do a fast run, this is a shoe I feel like that everybody is going to love. It's the best one out there in my opinion. There's a lot of really great marathon racers out there. Adidas Pro 3 is one of my favorites. I love that shoe. The Cloud, the Boom, that is a great shoe. There's some really good ones out there, but in my opinion, still, this is the #1 shoe if you want to go out and race. Now, Nike's coming out with their new Alphafly. I haven't tried that one yet, obviously. It doesn't come out till January. So we'll probably give that one a try too and see if it's any better than this. It's going to be a little bit heavier. But I think just for all that you're doing with this shoe, this is such a versatile shoe. You can race in it, obviously. If you don't mind dropping $260 on a shoe, this can be a long run shoe. Seriously, I love doing long runs because easily it keeps your legs from getting as worn out. And that's really where the greatness of the shoe comes in, is that it helps your legs not be as tired, right? Helps you be more efficient basically. And that's what I feel like running is all about, is be as efficient as you possibly can. So if you've got the resources to do it, drop that $260 down. Right now, I saw, Nike's got some 25% off. You can get this shoe on sale. And since it's the end of the year, obviously more colors are coming out. They're going to be kind of phasing out some of those other ones. So you can find some deals out there for this particular shoe. So for us, the Nike Vaporfly 3, it's a must-have. All right, that's our review of the Vaporfly 3. We want to know, what is your favorite marathon racing shoe right now? What's your go-to? What are you racing in? A lot of us here in Houston are going to be doing the Houston Marathon here in just a few weeks. So we want to know, what are you racing in? And if you're going to be out at the marathon, come and see us. Come find the Running with James crew, myself, Lauren, and Rocky. We would love to meet with you, love to take a picture of you, love to run with you. We're excited for you to be out there. You put in all these miles, and now the D-Day is almost here. So remember, guys, if you haven't done so already, make sure you like the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you subscribe, share it, do all that stuff you're supposed to do to keep the channel going. And then don't forget to check out our podcast. Every single Wednesday, we drop a brand new episode. We talk about training techniques. We talk about gear. We have a great time telling stories. And it is about everybody. So it's all about building that community, and we need your help to do that. So remember, as always, when you change your mind, you change life.